we're gonna start. We're getting straight to it.
Oh yeah. We
bring in the listeners early. Come on, y'all.
We had 2 other guests on this podcast that have a similar story to yours, and I'm thinking it's the same event.
Yes.
The Prince story, right? We've had Marcus on, and we've had Angelique on.
And man, I see a floating Prince. A floating symbol right there in front of me. I'm like, oh,
yo,
Prince. And I'm like,
we had another Prince story on the podcast with Marcus Paulk as well. Man,
he talked
about
the man was floating.
That was the night Marcus Paulk was with me. We were
That's wild.
not together like that, but we because the social media will run with that. But we were there. Yes, that was that night. Marcus was there.
So y'all ain't lying then. So now
you got to go to her podcast to get the first half of the story, but the second half of the story is the Marcus. And I want to know if you remember Angelique Bates being there from all that.
Yeah, those are the homies.
Okay, yeah.
I was dancing with Marcus Paulk. Me and Marcus was actually on the dance floor dancing when he came across the dance floor, and we were like,
I can imagine. Yeah, did he float in or look on a cloud, on a purple cloud?
There were all these big guys like in front of him, right? And then we saw this little.
So I'm going through the dance floor. It's 2 big security guards, like abnormally big guys coming through the middle of the dance floor. Like they bigger than everybody else's, whoever might have had security in there. I'm a little dude, so I'm just wiggle right past security. They didn't even really trip. Bam. So I was touching, we like the same height. I'm like, oh, yo, Prince, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, my mom loves you. Oh, man, woo. He like, yeah, thank you, brother. Yeah. He see me, he like kind of looked at me like he knew who I was. Like, oh, okay, yeah. And I was like, hey, Prince hit me with the deep voice and he was floating, but he was pretty, like J.B. Fox said. I was like, hey.
So we were in the club and he was with, one of his beautiful women. And he was real cool in there, the bodyguards, because I was just like, I'm so wop. Like, I'll go up to your bodyguard and have a conversation. And sometimes the bodyguards be cool, but they were like, "But we can introduce you." I was like, hey, not everybody can say that they've been introduced to Prince.
There were all these big guys like in front of him, right? And then we saw this little short man, but he was definitely just gliding. And I swear, it was like how on Halloween you have the dry ice just is all around the floor. Yeah. It was like dry ice was around the dance floor, so he just floated in between 4 huge dudes.
I don't think we mentioned that we're talking about Prince. This is the night that Prince, Cherie met Prince in the club second time, actually.
Well, it was the second time when he went, "Sup, Cherie?" It was at the Cabana in Hollywood.
Oh, and what's crazy is everyone said he was floating with smoke around his feet. It must have been true.
Yes.
Everyone has the same story. Angelique, that's my buddy, and Marcus Paulk, he beat me out of every job coming up, like he used to kill me, but that's my competitive buddy right there. Watch the animated Prince story in full on Cherie Johnson's YouTube. And for more details on the night, check out our episodes of Marcus Paulk and Angelique Bates. Brought to you in part by Lee Boy TV.